All right, we back. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. Calvin, introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? I'm Calvin McGowan.
All right, Philip.
What's up, y'all? I'm Phil Dixon.
All right, and I am Alan Pettigrew Jr., and you're listening to the Traveling Hoopers podcast. So, for the first time in NBA history, which is probably like we should have did the research, like 70, is it close to 75 years now?
For the NBA or
NBA.
probably. I really feel
We'll
like I
say
should
it
know.
is. Say it is. People can fact check us later. But for the first time in the NBA's history, the championship is in Canada. How do y'all feel about that? Because I felt extremely patriotic after I realized that the champions are no longer stateside and Canada got one on us. It doesn't matter because it's like 50-1, but still, I feel some type of way as an American that we let the Canadians beat us with no Canadians on that team. By the way, I think that's probably false too. There's way more people that were born in California than it is Canadians on that team. So, how do y'all feel about that?
I didn't have
hmm?
a sense of, being super patriot about it. I just personally was conflicted throughout the whole series because I hate Drake more than most. um, but I like Kawhi, like top 2 favorite players in the NBA right now. So I was like struggling. You know what I mean? Like, do I want the Toronto Raptors to win? Do I not want them to win? But also, I think the Warriors, or more specifically, players on the Warriors team ruined basketball. So like it was more hate going towards the Warriors than there was against Toronto. So eventually, I was like, okay, they're gonna win. I'm glad they're winning. So on and so forth. But I wasn't like, ugh, they're in a different country. Because, like, the man who invented basketball, James Naismith, was Canadian. So it's not like, it's really, Doris Burke was over here trying to do this whole, like, and it came around a full 360. Like, okay, I guess you want to stretch it, and I guess you can make that case. But, it is a case to be made. So, I wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I mean, if there were Canadians on the team, might think differently. But at the end of the day, Canadian basketball players, more times than not, are still trash. So
What?
you cannot make an argument that Canadian basketball players, more time than not, are trash. Do not live up to the hype.
It depends on what you're definitely. I can't
I think he's
outside.
using the two that got picked, like the top. Was it both Wiggins and that other kid? I can't remember his name.
Anthony Bennett, like
Yeah.
if those are your like people that you're going by, then yes, they do suck. But a lot of them are extremely serviceable. Even though Andrew Wiggins isn't like the next Kobe, he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's pretty
Like
darn
if
good, but he never reached the level people thought he was gonna reach.
oh no. But yeah, I think if you watched that Kansas, you kind of knew that it wasn't gonna be all that. And I remember you saying that while we were in like before he got drafted that he's not gonna be super special.
Okay, here it is.
But he's entertaining.
All right, here it is. I just Googled real quick basketball players from Canada. I'm gonna just name the first couple, all right?
All right.
And then, like you said, serviceable. But that's as best as you're. That's like the excluding a select few. That's as good as you're gonna get. You got Andrew Wiggins. Of course, you got Steve Nash, Tristan Thompson, Corey Joseph, Kelly Olynyk, Anthony Bennett, R.J. Barrett, Jamal Murray, Dwight Powell, Nick Stauskas, and then it just goes down from there. And this is a country full of 35 million people, and they've had basketball dang near just as long as the United States had basketball. So like for me to go and just pull out these people, and all of a sudden you get real close to just naming Joel and Anthony. Come on now. Come on now. That's
Wait, Joel Anthony's Canadian?
yeah, Joel Anthony, and then it literally just gets worse and worse and worse. So all of a
But
sudden,
NBA champions though,
you know,
MVP.
come on, man. People, when you're hooping, and somebody goes, "Man, you play just like Joel Anthony." You should take that to a highly be disrespectful.
Yeah, I gotta fight.
Yeah, you got you. You got to smack somebody open handed because you don't even want to try to be like Joel Anthony. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, they've had some good players. Literally, they have just as many good players as like
Alaska.
Kansas City, Missouri combined.
Do we have anybody that's like even Andrew Wiggins stuff?
Kansas City, Missouri combined. That's like adding in St. Louis. So Bradley Beal.
No, that's not adding in. You say Kansas City specifically. You should have said
Kansas
Missouri.
City. Well, I said Kansas City, but I'm gonna say Kansas and Missouri as like two states. And that's and if you combine the best players that came from Kansas and Missouri, and they not combine, but you like name the players that came from Canada, they're like on even par. And that's Kansas and Missouri Hoopers. Come on now. So all of a sudden, so that should tell you how. So when I say Canadian best players are more trash than not, I feel like it's pretty true.
We'll see in about 20 years, bro. I think 20 years.
I'm not gonna shoot no hypothetical in 20 years. Come on now. In 20 years, Australia is gonna have more top tier players than Canada.
Really?
Who does Australia have right now?
Ben Simmons.
That's
Okay,
one guy.
And the what's the one dude?
Don't say Dante Exum.
Yeah. I got Dante Exum.
He's not that good.
No, he not. But like, you know, he all right. You know what I mean? But then, you know, a lot of people are going overseas right now. The trend to go overseas is to go to Australia.
But they're not
like,
Canadian. They won't be.
No. But I know they're not Canadian. But with that being the trend to go over there, there are probably some. If you're projecting 20 years to the future, there's probably some youth that are going to come up in the next 20 years. That's the number you want to put out there, that are going to come from Australia just because of the environment. That's the basketball environment that's kind of accumulating in there. Isn't Patty Mills from Australia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like really thinking about the Australian national team on my head real quick. Is he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to claim him or not. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, yeah, we got Andrew Bogut, he a bucket. In the next 20 years, I think the environment for, the whole basketball environment is shifting in Australia, and I think you're going to see that in the next 20 years. And it's going to be comparable to Canada, I think. United States always going to be number one. We just got the Hoopers. We got the Hoopers. I don't know. I don't foresee that changing, but I do see Australia becoming more of a powerhouse.
I mean, haven't they always? Well, like for like the past like two Olympics, haven't they been around that 4th, 5th spot?
Yeah, but like once you get around the 4th, 5th spot, there's like multiple countries that are like just jumbled up together, and it really depends on who had the best day. You know what I mean? Because it was just United States, and then it was like Spain for like the last like 8 years, let's say, and then before that it was like Argentina, or that was more 8 years ago, wasn't it? But whatever. But at some point before that, it was Argentina. But it's really been Spain, right? And the big trend around that time period with Spain was that was where the best players who weren't league bound went over to play overseas. You know what I mean? And now you don't hear Spain being that. You hear Australia being that now. So that's why I'm kind of foreseeing the exact same thing happen in Australia as it did in Spain at one time. Never really happened in Argentina because I don't really know the economic situations in Argentina. But it did happen in China for a while. You know what I mean? It just makes the rounds. It makes the rounds. So, in the next 20 years, I'm just curious. And I'm almost positive that Australia's going to be in the same situation.
Yeah, we'll see in 20 years. We'll bring this podcast up. Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, you're the one who brought the hypothetical 20 years. I wasn't trying to look 20 years in the future. But I was like, okay, you want to do this? We can do this. We can do this.
You clearly thought this out more than I did.
I didn't. I just kind of came up with this just now on top of my head. Because when you know hoops, you know hoops. You know what I mean?
Okay. Cap, what about you?
In terms of any kind of national import, I didn't care. Like, it occurred to me at a point, like, I didn't really have any dog in the hunt other than it would be nice to see Gasol get a ring. And it'd also be nice for, the Warriors to finally lose. Because, they've just been there for a while. It's kind of boring. So, in the respect of the NBA championship is in Toronto, is in somewhere that's not the U.S. In this case, Canada. I don't care. I was just rooting for Game 7, ultimately. So yeah.
Is it bad that the only reason why I was rooting for Game 7 is because if Kawhi would have scored like 25 in Game 7, he would have like the all-time points record for a single postseason, and I really wanted him to break Jordan's record. Just because, why not?
I personally was not rooting for Game 7 because this is like pre-game, right? It's like right before Game 6, this whole situation. Like you go on Twitter and people are like, "Oh, Game 7! I hope it goes Game 7," whatever it is, right? And I didn't want that to happen because Klay Thompson's fire. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like Steph Curry recently. He's been more, he's not been consistent. Let's just say that, right? If you watch the games, it's not as consistent as like we're used to Steph Curry being. But Klay Thompson is like a different monster. Like he really a different monster. And and he was really, really confident until, the injury went down. Which, by the way, when you tear your ACL and just start jogging back, that's pretty impressive. But, that's just me observing that. Klay Thompson's a dog. But I was not, so like with that being the case though, and me wanting Toronto to win, I was not looking forward to a Game 7. I was really hoping they just ended it right there because Klay Thompson in like clutch games frightens me.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for y'all. This is gonna sound like super bad, but I don't really care. Is it weird that I'm not impressed by you coming back to make free throws after you had like a bad injury?
Is it? I don't know. It depends. So like, I think it's impressive because I've seen people tear ACLs and wail in pain. Right? I've seen people tear Achilles and like are and like they're not being overly dramatic. Like they're just like it's legitimately one of the most painful things that's happened to them. Right? Mm-hmm. So when I see Kevin Durant, when I see Klay Thompson tear an ACL, he grimaces for a little bit. Then he leaves without getting carried off, and then he like comes back, shoots free throws, and then jogs back and like trying to like jump into the air. That's different. That's different. Like
it is.
That's just not pretending like you're not hurt. He's doing all these extra movements. That's like mentally you must be crazy strong. You know what I mean? So that's why I thought it was impressive, just because I could reference it to something. You know what I mean? I know. And the same thing with Kobe Bryant, right? Kevin Durant was over here. Kevin Durant, when he tore his Achilles, he touched me at the ground immediately. He wasn't like wailing around like that, right? But he couldn't stand on his on 2 feet. He had to be helped off. Kobe Bryant over here shooting free throws. You know what I mean? Like he walked to it. He wasn't helped to the free throw line or nothing. So that's impressive to me. I think you just have to compare it to different situations. But that's why I thought it was impressive, personally.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is Klay Thompson is the person who really has moment mentality. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, most definitely. Klay Thompson's
clutch games, and I'm gonna go ahead and run with this torn ACL and be like, y'all gonna let me play, right?
Dude was doing.
Yeah, what got me was like he was really about to go back and play defense if they let it.
Dude really had everybody watching saying he ain't hurt. Like everybody watching was like he ain't really hurt himself. He good. No, he tore ACL. He not good.
bro, when I first watched it and I saw that, because it looked like he came down wrong his foot. I thought it was his ankle at first, and I was like, ooh. And then you look up, it is the knee and the ankle. I'm like, oh, that's up.
Yeah, man. I've seen a lot of people go for dunks and land wrong, and as soon as I saw that one, I was like, but like it could have just wobbled his knee. Excuse me, it could have just wobbled his knee. You know what I mean? I didn't expect the ACL tear. I'm not gonna lie to you. Might have like a meniscus soreness, something like that, but not an ACL tear. And I was like, oof, that's rough. That's rough. But then this dude over here jumping, doing knee highs. Come on now. You different. Like, if you're doing knee highs with a torn ACL, like freshly torn, you different.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
I,
lucky you're playing basketball. Because otherwise you'd be a serial killer. Because, like, you're a monster. Come on now.
I think the part that we're kind of glancing over, it really seems like Clay's dad was like, son, no. Like, y'all laughing. I'm like from reports, it sounded like Klay Thompson's dad was back there and he's doing all this extra movement. His dad was like, no, bro.
I mean, apparently his dad just asked him, like, did you hear anything pop? And Klay Thompson was like, I didn't hear nothing pop. But, I mean, shout out to his dad. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to his dad. Because he know his son. You know what I mean? He know his son a dog. He know his son is going to try to fake or play through any injury. And so his dad's like, yo, you got to relax. Like, you got a future ahead of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never thought about Klay Thompson as that type of person. I've always kind of just thought of him as like one of those weird people who just really like basketball, but never to the point where he's like, I tore my ACL, but I'm still trying to play.
And that makes you respect him more, right?
And like, it's a calmness about it. Like, yeah, this could be career ending. Not for me though. Like, I'm fine. I promise. Just
I'm gonna lie to you. So like, throughout all the years of Golden State being what Golden State has come to be, I've had strong opinions, but like my most consistent opinion, in a positive manner, is that I've always been a fan of Klay Thompson, right? I think
it's hard not to like him.
But like, Klay Thompson, I won't almost sound like a old ESPN white man. He plays the game the right way. You know what I mean? I was like not trying to say that, but like watching him play the game is so satisfying, right? And he does it on both ends of the floor, and he like doesn't like not all theatrics about it. He clearly was never like soft, but like you didn't know he was this like you know he was like this. You know what I mean? But this moment gave me just a lot more respect for him. Like I had respect for him already, but like it's at a different tier now, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like I can now add him up there as like one of my favorite players in the NBA. Even though I hate Golden State in a general sense.
I just never thought one of my favorite players would ever be a shooter. Like someone who's like that's almost all they do is shoot the ball well. And I thought the only person that was ever going to get that respect from me was going to be like Steve Nash. But he also threw amazing passes, which I was like, yeah. I don't care if you do anything else.
Yeah, my favorite player for a long time was Ray Allen, until he did that whole move and went to Miami. But like before that, he was my favorite player for years. So like I had never had a problem with those shooters. But like I don't know, I like mental toughness. And players who play smart. And Klay Thompson, he plays smart. You know what I mean? If you're a little older than him, he going to you to the post. You know what I mean? And if you're the same height as him, more likely he going to out maneuver you. He going to out condition you. He's just going to go off. You know what I mean? So like I just like the way he plays as a shooter because he plays smart. And more respect to him. You know what I mean?
I do want to ask. So, what? Okay, I feel like you've already explained this to us. But all right, because you like Klay because he plays smart. Why don't you like Draymond? Because that's about all he does.
Okay, why don't I like Draymond Green?
Calvin, we gotta stop asking this question. We gotta wait till episodes to just hit like I hate that dude.
I'm trying to say something that I haven't said before, but let me say
It's
this.
like I'm pretty sure we've asked this. I don't remember the answer. If you want, just give the short version.
Okay, short version. He's a little too antic for me. You know what I mean? He's a little too dramatic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not like in a good way. Like you're just like and like for like what he does, like dramatics wise and just theatrics wise, he's not good enough to do that to me. He was a liability to his team this past postseason run because he was so open on threes. The men were just in the paint putting him on three. And he used to be able to at least make a jump shot, right? The open three, you used to have to at least get out there on him. But now they're just laying off him like he's 2007 Rondo. And I'm just like, okay, so now you're like being a detriment to your team. The whole thing about him going calling KD after they lost to him bothered me a little bit, but it is what it is. Recruiting tactics, whatever. I just think that all his numbers for career wise for how low they are, because he only averages like 11 points and like less than double digits on everything else. For how low they are, have still been boosted because he's playing with two of the greatest all-time shooters of all time. Like legit, cannot be said. Whatever. Oh my gosh, Draymond got 10 assists tonight, and half of them are chest passes to Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. Literally just basic chest passes that they just caught and shot. Like that's more than half of his assists. He's just I don't know. He gets too much not publicity, but people think he's better than what he is. I think that he's just in a good situation for him. Klay Thompson, you can't replace anybody on the team with Klay Thompson. You can't replace anybody on that team with Steph Curry. You can't replace anybody on the team with Kevin Durant. Not even Sean Livingston. But you can go and just find somebody who hustles hard and makes the basic pass, and you can replace Draymond.
Okay. Yeah, my memory's getting jolly. We've had this conversation.
We have had a conversation.
Okay, y'all. How did y'all feel about KD playing in Game 5?
Oh, he shouldn't have played.
I thought it was stupid.
It
was a really bad decision.
I don't think beforehand. It's not just a hindsight thing. Like before the game started, I did not think KD should have played, and it's mainly because he had more to lose than to gain. So let's say if he played the whole game or the series, and let's say Toronto still won, like what did he gain from that? Nothing. Like legacy-wise, did he gain anything? No.
I think that hurts his legacy more than anything.
It does, and that's not even taking into consideration the health aspects of it, right? Because what I've been hearing is there were people saying that Kevin Durant shouldn't have played, but Kevin Durant kind of just like closed his ears to those people and like only listened to the people that were like on his side saying he should play, aka the people, the doctors, all kind of stuff for the Warriors who weren't doing their medical job for Kevin Durant, doing their medical job for the Warriors. You know what I mean? So it was so like I don't think that it was a smart decision for them to play at all. I think it was the Warriors' selfish decision to let him play, because even if he wants to play, you as an organization have to say no. It is not worth it for you to play, so you can't play. Yeah, it might have had a championship, or the championship might have been on the line, but if you wanted the best chance for him to come back, and all that kind of stuff, then I would not have had him play whatsoever. Or, for future free agents to look at your organization a certain way in a positive light, you shouldn't have had him play either. And that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I would always say don't play for like selfish reasons because I think even Kurt was saying like if this was regular season, he'd be out for 2 weeks. So clearly, there's a chance for this to get much worse. And you came back, Was it about like 2 weeks time?
No, it was more than that.
It was more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like three weeks or 4.
Yeah. So and then from like the pictures, the way he was getting treatment, and when they were putting ice in certain places, it also looked like the injury was much more severe than they made it seem. Like this, like Kevin Durant is like 7 foot tall and like super skinny, so his calf is pretty much right by his knee, and the ice is like on the back of his ankle. Like I'm not a doctor, nor have I been around Kevin Durant's hockey stick like legs, but there's something about that just seems off. And as someone who's played through injuries, I think we all have, even though I didn't play a lot. Like, like I respect you for coming out and doing it, but at what risk, my friend?
Yeah, it was like you respect it. Wasn't a smart move and was a selfish move by the Warriors. But just for me having like a very basic knowledge of the human body. Shout out to anatomy class in high school. The less muscle you have, muscle density you have, the easier it is for you to get hurt or you to re-injure things. And he's skinny. He's very, very skinny. And his legs are very, very skinny. So like if there's less protection there, then so it's going to be easier to get hurt. So why in that aspect would you have him play also for 1 game, maximum 2 games? Yeah. Like it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like you got to take that L. Sometimes you got to take an L, especially if you really wanted this dude to stay. Like I get that he would have probably been mad at you for not paying attention, but
look, if I'm Durant, I'm opting in. I'm making them pay me my money while I sit out, and then I'll leave next year. so they can't spend their money on no one else. I'm being dumb petty. Like y'all I'm being dumb petty, and like honestly, Durant would get more respect from that than he got from going to the Warriors.
I mean, he got no respect for going to the Warriors. That's not a high bar.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So, he would get respect for that.
That shows you how low the bar is. You know what I mean? So like, Durant, just be extra. Look, you already the quote unquote bad guy. Now just be extra petty. Now I will say this. This is kind of a segue, I guess. I keep hearing people say that Kevin Durant, he's still like the best player in the league, and he still, is about to be the best player in the league when he comes back after this injury. Do people really realize? Do people know how old he is?
He's like 30, 31?
Early 30s.
In your 30s from an Achilles injury? Come on now. Like and you 7 foot. Like your body built different. You different. You know what I mean? So like I think people don't realize how much change is gonna have to him as an individual in this game.
Yeah. I think what helps though is not like his game is a lot about like athleticism and power. I feel like there's a lot of Dirk Nowitzki to his game. And I feel like worst comes to worst, that's what he'll look like. And I'm not talking about the Dirk of the last 3 seasons. I'm talking about where Dirk can still give you 20, 25 points a game, but you like, boy, he can't play defense.
Hold on. But I think that Kevin Durant, what makes his game so unique to him is that he's 7 foot and so nimble and agile for how big he is. So once you take away an Achilles and a ruptured Achilles, or once you take away the ruptured Achilles and then you repair it, and then your agility is going to be different. And that's what keeps his game to what it is, right? 7-footers cannot guard him because he's the most agile 7-footer that any of us have ever seen. Like, bar none. So with a repaired Achilles, that's going to have to change too, right? Do you think he should put on some weight and just like be more of a postal player? Because he plays the perimeter a lot.
He already put on weight though. That's the thing.
He did?
Like he already put on weight.
I mean, he put on weight in a 10-year career, but like he put on weight because he got older. He put on that get older weight. He didn't really put on no weight. So like,
I mean, like he's probably been in the gym all the time over his career. He's about as big as he's gonna get without just being fat.
No. Kevin Durant's been noted for saying, um, uh, weights don't help with basketball. I just get buckets. So we say that, right? So like we're not gonna. So like he clearly does not care about the kind of things. But then we see really skinny dudes come into the league and all of a sudden get monstrous. Giannis got monstrous. Joel Embiid got monstrous. You know what I mean? So like I think he should put on some more weight because he won't be able to move. He won't be able to move as much. So like the cardio won't be there as much. So he needs to put on a little more weight and just stick to more posting up. Because he's so good at that already that he can literally go off the rest of his career just posting up instead of being on the 3-point line.
I'm not sure the way his body is set up, he'd handle it. Also, they came in really skinny, but they're not really skinny anymore. They have both Giannis and Embiid have plenty of muscle on them at this point.
Yeah, because they put it on. You know what I mean? They put it on the muscle. They came in skinny and were like, we're going to get bigger. They got bigger. Kevin Durant said, I don't need to get bigger. You know what I mean? He really said, forget that getting big stuff. Dude can bench 135 coming out of college.
I thought it was 185, bro.
It was 135. 45 on each side. Coming out of college. That 1 year in college, isn't that only supposed to help you with that kind of stuff? So clearly in college he wasn't caring about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. It makes me think that Texas just didn't really care about what Kevin Durant did. They were just like, you could just play, bro. Like we had practice, Kevin. Nah, y'all had practice.
It's like, hey, we going to shoot. We going to the weight room. We're gonna come back later on. Shoot, I'm just gonna shoot. Y'all can go to the weight room. Or he's probably one of those guys. When you go to the weight room, he over here just cracking jokes and not lifting no weight. He's that guy.
He not even spotting people.
We all have that guy in weight class. You know what I mean? He's that guy. Man, this guy tripping.
He only pick up the weights when the coach come by.
Facts.
Like everybody else gained like 20 pounds except you. What happened? I got a fast tablet. Shut up.
I don't know what happened, coach. It just don't hit me the same way. Come on, that's crazy.
That's crazy, bro. And when he retire, if he get fat, that's gonna blow my mind, bro.
Because he gonna. Rarely people retire and just look like normal people. Especially if he has no like work ethic. First of all, Kevin Durant wears gloves in the weight room. He's a little hoe. He wear the weightlifting gloves where his fingers cut off. You know what I mean? He over doing medicine ball stuff. Man, he make LeVar Ball angry, I bet. Let's look at this man lift weights. Like it's I don't know. I've seen Kevin Durant like in the quote unquote weight room, even though he had a medicine ball, was just doing like ab stuff. And it's kind of a joke. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like a legit joke. You want to see something funny? Look at Kevin Durant in the weight room on YouTube, and you'll have a fantastic day.
I gotta look this up.
I'm just here like, what were we talking about before we got on this?
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
All right, so I got a question for you, Philip. Oh, that's funny. Philip, no. It says all access Kevin Durant bench press 315-pound workout, and I know this is gonna be like a Rick Roll gag, and I'm gonna be like, you got me. But so how do you think this is going to affect his play style? Because I know you were saying it's better off him getting in the post more, and I completely agree, especially if you're not going to have that type of shift that you used to.
So you're asking me what specifically?
Like, what do you think what do you think he'll change about his game if he isn't able to move as well?
I mean, he's got to go to the 4, right? Like, he's got to go to the 4 and be a power forward. But that's only if he gains on weight, right? Because he will get pushed around by some of these 4 in the league. Because, like, ideally, if you're a 3, the older you get, the more you, like, transition to the 4, right? And that's, like, not including injuries. So, including injuries, that's more than likely going to happen for sure. And I just think that, He's so skilled. His footwork is impeccable. You know what I mean? His footwork is really, really good. We all see him do that. Catch the ball at the free throw line, spin around on one foot, and then, you know what I mean? All that nonsense. But if you watch him play, he has really, really good footwork. And if his footwork isn't like great in the post, like Joel Embiid, like post game footwork, there's something showing us that he can't adapt that. You know what I mean? And I just think that that's where his game should translate at some point. Because at some point, you are 7 foot and you got to act like it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be the case. If you see a guy at the rec, there's always a guy at the rec who is 6'5", whatever it is, but he want to keep shooting jump shots. He want to keep, taking to the dribble. The older that guy get, the more he's in the post. You know what I mean? It's just a natural evolution of a basketball player. The less agile you get, the more you get to the post, especially if you're taller than everybody else, aka Kevin Durant. So I don't know that's where this game's gonna go. That makes the most sense to me. But also I feel like Kevin Durant is the kind of guy who is stuck in his ways, I guess, as a basketball player, and like is not the best at adjusting in that kind of way. I may be wrong, but I think it's the best decision if he does that.
I'd probably say I'd argue he'd probably transition to a role more like like a 7-foot Kyle Korver, like Ray Allen. You just run him off a pick,
Steve
catch
Novak.
and shoot. Mm-hmm.
Steve Novak. You turned
whoever that.
You turned him to Steve Novak. Nice.
It's enormous. Ridiculous.
But they're just gonna run him off of picks, catch and shoot, and that's how he's gonna go. And that's gonna be him from the time he gets back until he retires at like 40 because he can shoot forever and becomes super automatic. Well, even more so than he already is.
Right. I think he goes full Dirk Nowitzki. Like Dirk Nowitzki's playing weight is 245. Kevin Durant is 240. Let's say they get him up to like 250. I think he's going to lightly bang in the post and just extend that jump shot. Be like you were kind of saying, just be around the perimeter. Because it's going to be really hard to like really guard Kevin Durant, even if he's not moving as well as he used to.
Yeah, he got the lightest touch at 7 foot. Like his mid-range game would be ridiculous.
And what are you going to do? I think even a hobbled Kevin Durant is going to be faster than some fours. I think some threes, they're just not going to be tall enough. I think he's at the perfect height where even his athleticism going away is like, oh, I'm still probably one of the 20 best basketball players in the league.
He's literally tall enough and athletic enough, even after injury, to play 2 solid positions, more than likely with medical, advancements, 3, right? He can play the 3, more than likely, but he can definitely play the 4, and he can play the 5 just because how tall he is and how nimble he is, how light on his feet he is, right? How soft his touch is. You can't stop a Kevin Durant hook shot if he wanted to adapt that to his game. Who could stop that?
Sky hook, boy, lethal.
If he wanted to adapt that to his game, who can stop that? No one can stop that. Which is wild. Which is wild. But we wouldn't be having this conversation if the Warriors hadn't been so negligent.
Yeah. So it sounds like you blame the Warriors more than you blame anybody else.
Most definitely. I think it's just selfish. Steve Kerr's a dog. Steve Kerr, the whole that fake cry that general manager was having. Like,
I think his cry is real.
Oh no, that was
real. But I think it was a more of a I effed up cry more than I feel bad for this guy cry. Wow. Like I think I just cost us the rest of KD's prime.
I don't know. what did they call those? Crocodile tears? Like that's really what I thought it was. I was just like, nah, man. Like you're running a business. You made a business decision, and it turned out wrong, obviously. And you over here, well, Kevin, it looks like it's a Achilles. What are you talking about, dog? Relax. He a commodity in your business. That's really what it is. He a commodity in your business, and you want to pretend like you think this guy's quote unquote a human being. He just a part of a part of your business that's gonna make you more money. That's all. That's all you're thinking. That's all you're thinking about. And I'm just like, you gotta relax, man. Even if it was, I've had family members tear Achilles and all kind of stuff. I wouldn't even cry for my family members, let alone somebody that I just met this year. Oh, you gotta.
Yeah. With that being said, if your family members was the reason why you're making millions of dollars, I think you'd cry a little bit too.
Man, you still have Clay and Steph.
If nothing else, you might cry if you knew it was your fault.
Yeah.
Man, look, man. I'm saying this. Oh, man, this guy was over here doing too much. This guy was over doing too much. Like maybe he was upset at his job, but to go into the press conference and just overly express yourself, I guess is how I'm going to word it. Overly express yourself to the media to where, oh my gosh, Rachel Nichols, he's over here in tears, and it's so. Shut up. Shut up.
I think the real issue here may be that none of us are really empathetic. Like nobody in this group is really empathetic. Like I wasn't impressed with Clay or Kobe coming back to shoot free throws. There's never been something that like taps into my heart. The only time I've really felt bad when players have been injured is Paul George, Kevin Durant. There's been no other time in my life where I'm like, oh no. Like when Kobe tore his Achilles, I was like, that sucks that this is how he has to end his career. But I wasn't like, oh no. I was like, he's what, like 30, he was what, like 34, 35 when that happened? I was like,
yeah.
It's about time. Like that sucks that the injury takes you out, but it's about time for you to go. But I can't think of any other player that was injured. That's not true. Chris Bosh, but that's because it's more of a life-threatening thing.
That thing was that how Chris Bosh is kind of.
That's tragic. Sad, bro. And you can see it in his eyes when he made like TV appearances. He wants to be back out there, and he's just like.
That didn't really hurt me because his head's so funny shaped.
What?
I mean, that's serious.
Act like we didn't hear that, yo.
I mean, that's serious. Like Chris Bosh got that neck, funny shaped head, and I always look at him and just laugh. So I can never feel empathetic for somebody who just looks funny.
Okay.
You think I'm joking too, and I'm being dead serious.
No,
like,
I don't.
Like,
it's still just like
I'm empathetic sometimes. Just like, like shout out. Like I was empathetic when Nipsey passed. But
like, that resonated with you.
You said what?
That resonated with you.
Shoot, more than XXX.
I mean, clearly, like that's not even. We're gonna talk about that after the podcast because that's I got questions there because I neither one of those hit me in any type of way.
Victory Lap slap, bro.
I didn't listen to any of his music. Like I never like got on it.
I didn't.
No connection whatsoever.
I actually listened after he died. It does go. That's a good song.
I can't even listen to people's music like afterward. Like if I wasn't listening to your music before you passed, I'm not gonna listen to it afterwards because that seems like I'm just rotting away. It was like actually, if I wasn't interested then, I'm probably not gonna be interested now. That is sad though.
It is true. Like I had a few songs from Victory Lap. He died. And I was like, man, this guy was doing good things. But like, I'm also not gonna go back and listen to his first mixtape. Like that's not gonna be me. Like, man, he was cool in 2008. Remember when this? I don't
got $1,000 to go listen to that mixtape.
Shoot, look, I just don't care enough. Like, shoot, Jay-Z's still alive. I listen to him. But anyways,
moving this back into basketball. All right, moving this back in the basket.
Hey, Nipsey hooped.
Shut up.
Okay. So,
Ooh.
bro.
Hey, okay, I'm gonna go. Do you think, since this is going to be the last, I think this is going to be the last dynasty we see for like the next 10 years. I think within the next 10, over the next 10 years, we're going to see 4 different teams win the WNBA championship. And I don't think anybody else is going to repeat.
Is it WNBA?
I mean, NBA.
I'm
Um,
like,
I
that's
don't
a
remember
whole
what's
different
the
conversation.
WNBA. I got a game to cover later. My bad. My brain on
That's a
some
whole
other.
different conversation.
I was like, I don't care. Um, but for terms of the real league, the NBA, no, I'm joking. In terms of the NBA, I can only answer this after I know where all the free agents are going this upcoming year. Like this upcoming summer, when I see where they're going, I can answer that question. I'll have some more clarity. But right now, I don't know because they're talking about Kyrie goes to the Nets, D'Angelo Russell's leaving. Talking about they're talking about the Lakers trading away all these different assets for Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers, if Anthony Davis goes to the Celtics, all of a sudden he's there for 1 year, and all of a sudden next year goes somewhere else. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, both hurt out for seasons. Can Steph Curry hold up and be durable through a whole season and not get injured himself when he has to carry such a load? I don't think so. It's just a lot going on. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, are they leaving? Are they staying? Or are they going? It's literally this offseason is going to be ridiculous, and this offseason is going to set up what happens in the NBA for at least the next 3 years. At least. Oh, and Kawhi Leonard. I didn't even mention Kawhi Leonard, the Finals MVP. Where is he going? Is he staying in Toronto, or is he going to the Clippers? Because if he goes to the Clippers, they'd be nice too. So where is he going? I have no idea.
Hey, you know what I think is the craziest thing about this particular free agency class? For some of the guys that were mentioned, this is going to be their last contract that they get, especially as a all-star, and for some of them, period. So we're literally about to see a complete change of guard happen. And I think you said what?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does Jimmy Butler deserve a max contract anywhere?
Oh, it depends on what you mean by deserve.
Does Jimmy deserve the money for a winning team to give him a max contract?
When you say winning, what do you mean?
The 76ers are winning.
There's only one winner every single year. There's only one winner. There's a lot of people that had good
winning. Yeah, there's only one winner, but there's more people winning. Who are in contention?
Okay.
That's a multitude of teams. So does he deserve max contract from any of these teams at all?
The top tier teams, I think he does, and I'll say, but it's also in certain areas. If Philly wants him, he deserves that max. If LA wants him, he deserves the max. But let's say Boston had the money, doesn't deserve the max, and it's just like a bad fit reasons. Like I think Philly and LA are a Jimmy Butler type. I don't even know what we're talking about contention. LA is not in contention. They are barely on the bubble. But in those two areas, I think he does. But if we're also talking about New York, who's also not really a contender, but they got the money to become a contender this year, I think he deserves it. And it's really more of a, we suck, and if we don't get another person, at least the money's going to make you happy. At least we're going to make the money hopefully the money makes you think you're happy. If not, we tried. Like, I literally think that's how it's going to be. His antics on most teams are enough for me to be like, maybe you shouldn't give him the full max. Like, you should be close. Probably take like $5 million off the max and be like, here, we can't give you all of it because you asshole, but really like you though. we really think a lot of you. I think you can get us there, but you fall short in some areas and makes us nervous.
Wow.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. But if side note though, if I'm a free agent, you okay, that might be a lie. It would be hard to pay me enough to go to the Knicks because the Knicks are just a terrible organization.
But they might get RJ Barrett.
Then they're a terrible organization with one nice player. You saw what happened last time. They trade what's his name? Porzingis got like they ended up having to trade Porzingis.
That's because
Kevin Knox
Porzingis was like,
nice?
Porzingis was like, if you do not trade me, I will never play for you guys again, and you will still pay me because contract.
You don't think Kevin Knox is gonna be nice?
Nice enough. Like
Kevin Knox is going to need a really good trainer that's going to push him during the offseason, and two, a vet who's going to be like, this is how you do it. And I think if he goes to, if Jimmy Butler goes to the Knicks, Kevin Knox is going to be something special by 2021. Because I know Jimmy Butler is going to take several dudes and be like, I think Kevin Knox is one of those dudes that's going to be like whoever is the top dog that comes there, especially if they're like a guard or a forward, Kevin Knox is going to soak up so much because he is so young and he looks like he'll just stare and watch you like practice just to learn from you. Might not say much, but whatever you tell him to do, he's going to do it. And I think Jimmy Butler is one of those dudes that's going to be loud enough for him to be like, okay, whatever you say, bro.
So Kevin Knox is submissive.
That's what it looked like at Kentucky. And then this year, he just looked like he was super overwhelmed. And it's not so much that he's submissive; he's super young. I think he's just turning 19. Like he was really young coming into the draft last year.
Okay. Well, look,
Yeah, he'll be 20 this year.
I was asking because Jimmy Butler, like I've said many times, he can't be your number one option. I don't even think he can be a number two option. I think he's a good number three option for a championship level, like legitimate contender team. Not like, ooh, we seventh in the playoffs, like legitimate contender.
Yeah, I think if you could get him to like fully go Tony Allen and still have like the skin of someone who can drop 20 points at any given time, that's probably one of the best third options that we have seen outside of like Klay Thompson in the past like 20 years.
Okay, I got you.
I'm gonna ask this before, just to get back to the finals real quick. I do have one last question. So, like, how did y'all feel about them last 10 or so seconds in the game?
That foul call?
The foul call was dumb. I don't understand that at all. But I'm thinking more like the play call. It's like, all right, you got like just under 10 seconds left on the clock. Golden State is the ball. You know, the called timeout, draw something up. How did y'all feel about that?
I don't remember it that much, to be completely honest with you, to have like an opinion.
You mean the last shot Steph Curry took?
Basically.
Okay, so last shots. I mean, it was a good play. Steph Curry had the opportunity to make some of those shots, but at that moment in the series, it seemed like Steph Curry was not making those shots. He made that one shot right before Klay Thompson did the game before, but in a general sense in the series, it seemed like he was not making those shots, but he has proven that he can make those shots because it was a clean enough look for Steph Curry, right? So I think it was a good play that they drew up. But, you know, it just didn't work out for him because Steph Curry has been, I don't know what's going on with him. Like, he has, like, all right numbers, yeah. But, like, if you watch the game, like, he looked out of sync and a little off on a high majority of these games. Like, a high majority of them. So it was very interesting to see. I don't know, his fingers bothered him. He clearly was in no condition to do it. Because game 3, you saw 2 or 3 air balls at the end of the game. So like, and you don't really see air balls from Steph Curry. You know what I mean? And some of them are wide open threes. And it was just like, so like you're thinking about Steph Curry the last 5 years, good shot. Steph Curry the series probably should have drawn a return play to get a better shot.
Yeah. Did you guys see that the stat for Steph Curry in those situations? He's like 0 for 8 for his entire career.
No.
Yeah. Like he never made one of those shots to like in those closing seconds. And Philip, I kind of know what you mean. And it kind of reminds me of that year that they lost to LeBron and how like everybody was like, are they in Steph Curry's head? And I think that is a little bit of what we saw. Like he was locked in, but there was something missing. And every time that happens, Steph Curry is not the same dude. Like he'll put you up, he'll give you like the 20, 25 points, but you'll be like, you missed a lot of like easy shots that you would normally hit without question. And it took you 3 tries to get this basket that would normally take you 1. So it's weird.
Yeah. And with Klay Thompson, I'm not gonna lie to you, you'd never see that. Dude's consistent gets. It's weird how consistent he is. That's why I like him as a player more than Steph Curry, along with a multitude of other reasons. But yeah, that's how I feel about the last play, Calvin.
Yeah. Is it weird that I kind of beg to differ with the what you just said about Klay Thompson being as consistent can be? Because he is, but for like the past 3 years, he's always had a stint where we're just kind of like, oh, is this going to be the thing that kind of ruins the Splash Brothers? Like if you notice at the beginning of this season, Klay Thompson was like shooting his career lows in threes until he had that game where he broke the game record for 3-pointers. So it's kind of like, this is like the era, like the writing has been written on the wall for like the entire season that this is kind of like the end of the Warriors run, because Steph wasn't like full Steph all season. Klay wasn't full Klay all season. Kevin Durant was injured for a little bit. Like they did have Boogie, but Boogie, outside of those last 2 games he had in the finals, Boogie didn't look like Boogie for like most of this.
Even those games,
but he's coming off of Achilles. But
like even those games you watch, it was not the same player.
Oh no, definitely not.
Boogie, like DeMarcus Cousins was not the same player whatsoever. But I do think, according to Klay Thompson's, I don't know why I put S at the end of that, but whatever. You do have to take into consideration when Kevin Durant came, right? So when Kevin Durant came, he pretty much became the Chris Bosh of the Warriors unit, right? The load he had to take was a lot softer than everybody else. So that played a part into it. And when you're a shooter, it's a whole rhythm thing that you have to get into, that you just won't get as many options and as many opportunities when you have somebody who is as ball dominant as Kevin Durant on your team. So I think that has something to do with it also. But when he needs to play, I'm not saying like play like be out there in the court, but when he needs to like go out there and show out, he's going to go out there and show out. You know what I mean? And I think we've seen that consistently over the last 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been. But so that's what I meant specifically.
All right. Did we ever answer the question of like who do y'all think is going to be the next dynasty? Because I know we said it all depends on what free agency happens, but
I think that's the question.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna make this claim. As long as they don't re-sign Kyrie, I think it'll be Boston.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I can't wait to see, especially if they don't get like AD or something. I can't wait to see what they turn into. Well, turn back into.
I think that I don't know. I think it has an opportunity because I don't know. I think the Philadelphia 76ers can get there again if they keep one of the two players, being Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler. If they lose both of them, no, not at all. But if they keep one of them, I think so.
Yeah, I can see that. I got another question for you guys. I keep hearing that the East has finally leveled the playing field. Mm-hmm. Do y'all agree with that?
Yes.
No.
Why no?
One, if for no other reason than the way history plays out, even if it was level for 1 year, that's just 1 year. 1 year does not dictate an overtime thing. Like it was level when Jordan was with the Bulls, but of course it was. Jordan was with the Bulls, so yeah, I'd make the argument nah, especially with various folks in free agency currently.
I make the argument yes. Granted, I don't know what free agency is gonna do, but with the way the Warriors looked, and yes, because of injury, but injuries happen. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Most of the Warriors championships came off of situations where a lot of injuries were occurred. I think that Milwaukee, the Raptors, and the Philadelphia 76ers, all three could have beat the Warriors the way they looked. And I could have, but definitely, more than likely would have beat the Warriors the way they looked. The Warriors were the best of the best, and they ran through Portland. You know what I mean? They ran through Portland. So I'm just looking at the top tiers of the top tiers. You know what I mean? And I think that the top three of the East are better than the top three of the West for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. But, does that really change anything?
I think it does.
I'm talking about, balance-wise. We're talking about 1 through 15. If we're going teams 1 through 15, and it's the 15 seed in the West versus the 16 seed. The 15 seed in the East. I think for the most part, I still take the West getting more W's than the East. Detroit was in the playoffs this year, and the A seed for the West was the Clippers. I think the Clippers win that in 5. Especially with the what's that called, injuries. If we're saying they got a healthy Blake Griffin, 6. Indiana versus Utah. That's a hard one, but I think I have to go Utah.
Toss up.
Yeah, I super toss up. 7 games.
Oladipo's not injured.
Yeah. And then the 6th seed is Brooklyn versus OKC. I got to go OKC. And my judgment might be a little bit clouded because I am a fan. So if y'all think Brooklyn got a better chance, possible. San Antonio versus Orlando. Got to go.
Orlando was solid this year. We're talking about San Antonio from this year. Orlando was very, very solid this year. Remember that.
You said what?
Orlando was very, very solid this year. So remember that.
Oh, no, they were definitely solid, but I still got to go San Antonio because you're not going to outcoach Pop. And I think that's enough to turn the tide, to be honest with you. And then it's just really hard for me to be like, yeah. I do think, though, that those top 3 teams could go blow for blow with Portland, Golden State, and Denver from this year. Talked about Milwaukee, Toronto, and Philadelphia. But I don't know, man. That it's challenging. It's challenging. They're coming, but especially after because it sounds like a lot of the what are those called? The free agents this year are trying to go back to the West, so that's going to make it even worse.
I mean, I don't know. It just depends.
All they had to do was get Kawhi, and
there weren't that many teams that you just went through that you said, okay, so and so's waiting for sure, so and so's waiting for sure, so and so's waiting for sure. You got to think about it, and I think that's just the point of it, right? To think about it, and it's not as clear cut as it was at one point.
Yeah, you're right. They coming, but I don't think it's balanced. I think especially if we're just talking about talent, period. Even the West worst teams still have much talent, much more talent than the East worst teams.
Yeah, they're
like Minnesota, pretty talented. If no winners whatsoever, but a very talented team. Suns, Devin Booker is probably top 10 shooting guard in the league.
You definitely higher than top 10, but
I normally don't pencil in winning when it comes to that, but
yeah,
he hasn't changed that team at all since he's been there.
Yeah,
but also, I know it's hard, but
we're talking about
even Kobe went to the playoffs when they sucked.
Yeah, but we're talking about overall team stats, overall team wins, team losses versus individuals on those teams. I don't like you just said. Individuals may be good, but like team's trash. The team's trash. So at the end of the day, the talent on that team doesn't matter as long as they aren't, and like teams like the Knicks and so on, they're tanking. The Bulls tanked. You know what I mean? Like they have talent too. Zach LaVine is very good. Like he's very, very good, and like they tanked. Like you would see, they would be up in some games, and the coach would literally take them out to lose the game. That's why it felt like the Knicks won more games than they did this year throughout the season, because everybody knew they were taking on purpose. So no one was calling Frank for his job. I won't say Frank for his logo. I'm talking about who's the head coach for the Knicks? David what?
Fizdale,
yeah. And like no one was calling for his job because they knew they were tanking on purpose. You know what I mean? So the East did a lot of that this year. So I don't think the record indicates the team itself, and not like they have more talent. So like they whatever. Like no, the team purposely lost. You know what I mean? So I think that's like a something you got to take into consideration as well.
I agree. That's something I could think about for like the NBA. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I personally actually have to go right now. So it's gonna be up to you two to talk about things not on NBA because you guys are more experts in these things, not NBA, than I am as well. So I would be useless. Shout out to LaMelo Ball.
Wait.
Okay.
That's random.
Okay. But yeah, I gotta go. Peace, everybody. Follow me at PGA Dose. I got to DIPP. All right.
All right, bro.
All right.
Only one P. My bad. All right.
Okay, real quick. Something I guess I want to say is simply that part of why I asked about the last couple seconds of that game 6 was that I blame Steve Kerr for why I didn't get me a game 7. Because they were saying that the kind of thing he drew, I guess he drew up is kind of common in the NBA, but also I felt like what he should have done was start Curry up in the post, Cousins up top, have Curry screen for Cousins, then have somebody screen for Curry. Get the ball to one of them because you want your best scorers in their best positions to score. Rather than trying to throw it over the top of the defense, now the defense gets a hand on it, the clock is started. Now you have to call a timeout that you didn't have. And voila, you've lost the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. Huh?
No, I was just saying, yeah, I agree with you. That's I've always struggled with Kerr being a good coach. I've always felt like he's a product of having the best possible team assembled together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like there's, I fully realized that Kerr was a iffy coach the minute he went out because of his back, and um, Luke Walton went undefeated coaching them. Like, this isn't saying that Luke Walton's a good coach. It's saying he has the best team probably ever playing right now. So I could have did his job of just being like, guys, calm down, go win. Like, so it's shaky,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that is the perfect indictment of what that is. But I guess it's much easier to talk about it in retrospect than actually in that moment
Mm-hmm.
because life.
Yeah. Um, I didn't really have a particular opinion on him as a coach, honestly. Truth be told, I still don't. I just think he made a bad decision.
You know, I just have a weird feeling he's going to go in the Hall of Fame as a coach, and I'm always going to be super shaky on that because
That's
let me see
fair.
if he has any other coaching credits.
Nah, that was his first coaching job, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we'll see in the coming years after they. Yeah, bro. Yeah, we'll see in the coming years as that talent starts to disseminate.
Uh, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see, that's it for me as far as the NBA. I did want to say, it's good. I'm happy that Memphis has the best recruiting class in the nation this year.
They're gonna
Uh,
be tough.
yeah, and I feel like folks have questions about whether or not Penny can coach. I don't like because I've watched the game. I'm not saying he's currently the best coach in the NCAA or anything, but he can coach. That said, I am interested in whether or not he can develop talent, which is kind of a different thing and something that plays out more long term. Something I can't really answer for you right now. Um,
So I got a question for you.
hmm
Since a lot of the dudes that came to that team are one and done pretty much,
hmm
does it matter so much if we can if he can get them all to buy in and play well together, does it matter too much about their development? Because I personally don't think Calipari's that much of a talent developer. I think there's only one person that I've seen that kind of change from like day one. I mean, game one to like game 34, and
hmm
that's Carl Anthony Towns. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm probably leaving somebody else out, but that's the only player that I've ever seen go from like, oh, why is he playing to okay, this makes sense. But I'm not a Kentucky fan, so yeah.
um, I would argue one, you want to be able to develop because you want the team to be better at the end of the season than they were at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how like that beginning started out. Ideally, they should be better at the end, like collectively. But also, it's not just about like one season. It's about your time, kind of your overall time as a coach. If you want the consistency, you got to be able to develop talent and gel your team and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, cause it's like okay, so it's like my thing isn't so much Kenny coach was like okay, like how are like Harris and Lomax gonna look next year? Great, even if they're coming off the bench, are they looking better? Are they looking better this year than they did last year?
Yeah.
Um, for for the like dudes who are gonna come back because even though what they've got at least two one and done certainly.
Wiseman
So
and Chua.
mm,
Wiseman and Achua.
yeah, at least them. Like without a doubt, like there'd be no good reason for them to come back regardless how the season goes. Um, it's kind of like all right with everybody else though. If with dudes come back, like how are they looking like the season after this one, this upcoming one? And that's the question I'm interested in that I don't have the answer to like that. Um, like, and that's the kind of thing that'll help sustain consistent success, I feel. Um, what? How do you feel about Kansas's class?
Actually, let me check on Kansas's class because I know I can talk about some of the parts more than I can talk about the whole at the moment. The guy they just got in Jalen Wilson, I actually seen him play about like 3 or 4 times this season, and he's a mixed bag for me. Like he's 6'8", he's 220, he's extremely smooth, he's extremely calm, he can shoot it, but it always looks like he's stuck in second gear. Like you're not going to speed him up, and he's not going to speed up. Um, but there's a lot of size to go with that game, and especially at the college level, he's he's going to be hard for most people to deal with. Like I could see him coming in and looking exactly like what's Playboy name? Shoot, give me a second. I could see him coming in and looking exactly how uh, what's buddy that came from Memphis name?
Lawson?
Yes, I could see him coming in and looking like Lawson immediately, just because he has that size, he has that headiness to his game, and he's tough. He's tough. It's not going to be a lot of people that can guard him. And then they got a guy in Tristan in Aruna. I haven't heard anything about him. It's another dude that's kind of up in the air for me. And then we have Christian Braun, who's a bucket at the high school level. Um, but I could really see them just turning him into a shooter. He's a 3-star coming from Blue Valley West. And then Isaac McBride. One thing I can tell you about Bill Self and finding these little point guards is they're always something to be worried about. Devin Dotson was probably the best one that we've had, at least like college recruiting was in like the last couple of years. But you also got I can never think of Buddy's name. The last 2 point guards that got drafted that played.
Mason?
Yes, like Mason, he wasn't known at all, and he came in, did the 4-year thing, became pretty much an All-American by the time he was a junior, and that's the beauty of Bill Self when he has quick guards. And then what's the other guy's name?
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good, man, because I can never think of their names. Kansas point guard. Was that 2017? Let me see. Let's see who was on that roster. Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham was another dude who wasn't super known coming in. I think he was supposed to go to Appalachian State before Bill Self was like, "No, big dog, we got something for you." So I'm excited to see what Isaac McBride does just off the strength of how well Kansas does with that. And then Isaiah Moss, who's one of the best shooters coming from Iowa. I'm excited to see that because I feel like a big thing that was missing with Kansas this year was an elite shooter. Because that's what they're – if you can get a really good big man, whether he's actually dominant or not, if you can get somebody that's about 7 foot tall, is a little bit mobile, and you surround him with a creative point guard, which we have with Devin Dotson coming back, and somebody else who can be kind of scary on the wing, like Jalen Wilson come in immediately be, and set him up with some shooters, Kansas is really hard to stop in their system. Like that's one thing I can tell you all day, every day when you suit up against them. Like Bill Self is gonna make that type of lineup work all day, every day, and it has been for like the past 15 years. So sign me up for that all day. But this isn't this isn't what this isn't what it used to be. In terms of recruiting classes. I remember that like 5 year span we were like 1, 2, and 3. We were up there with Kentucky and Duke. Don't really know what happened there. I think it was probably a lack of people being drafted well and panning out. But I like them, and I'm excited to see what happens. Don't really have high expectations for any of these guys, but I like seeing the DFW kid out here getting to the next level, killing it.
Oh yeah, you hear what? The Sousa is
He's back.
yeah.
Yeah. D'Souza reminds me a lot of what Cliff Alexander was supposed to be, and what I can't think of, but I can never think of Buddy's name, bro. I can never think of any of these guys' names off rip. But also with Robinson. I think it's a mix between Tariq Black, whose name I can also always remember for some strange reason, and there's another dude that they drafted pretty high, whose name just does not roll off the tongue at the moment. But both of them were like super active. Thomas Robinson, that's his name. I think that's what D'Souza is going to give us. Probably not as much shooting or scoring, but he's going to bang and make everybody life just awful. And hopefully, in the past year, I know he hasn't really been able to practice, but I hope he's expanded on his jumper, because I would like to see him and Azumbuki play together a little bit, because that's going to be a really hard foursome 4 or 5 to like stop on the inside, just because that's going to be a lot of rebounding against anybody. But that's also like a lack of offense that will be detrimental to everything else that I said earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover?
Nah. I think we're about ready to get out of here. I guess I can talk a little about. I can't even talk that much about the WNBA, to be honest with you. The only thing they're about, most teams are about like 6 games into the season, and they're already doing all-star voting, which is like bonkers to me, because like the game hasn't even settled in, but it's understandable because the season is so short. But I personally cover the Dallas Wings down here, and they're not having a good season, bro. And it's they traded away their best player. Their second best player is out from pregnancy, and it's a bunch of people who would be considered role players at this time last year. And it's weird. It's almost like they're not trying to step on each other's feet, and they're not used to the coaching system either. So, like, I covered their game on Thursday, and it was the first time this season where they looked like they had some energy to them, and they weren't thinking about the game; they were just playing. Because the game before, they lost by like 26 to the Fever, and like they were just standing around the perimeter, like, "Aren't you supposed to cut?" And they were like, "No, you're supposed to cut." And I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a long game." I don't know what's going on here, but hopefully everything clicks. And I'm actually going to have a couple more pieces coming up later this week about it, because I think they have a player who is on the precipice of having a breakout season. They just have to let her work. So that will be coming out later. I'm also going to try to do some features later on this week. But outside of that, I'm ready to wrap it up. What about you?
All right, sounds good.
All right. Go ahead and plug yourself, Calvin. Where can they find you?
All right. Again, I'm Calvin McGowan. You can find me on Twitter. It's at C McGowan like C McGowan second. So yeah.
All right. And I am Alan Pettigrew Jr. Um, this summer, I'm going to be covering a lot of WNBA with the Dallas Wings, so expect a lot of that content coming. You can follow me for more of that at AP Rights with two S's, because apparently somebody from A with initials AP Rights too, and they want to be selfish and take up my idea, but I can't have everything. Um, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube. I've been going to a lot of events covering a lot of different games. Like last weekend, I was at the Junior NBA Regional Finals down here in Dallas, and um, there's nothing more emasculating than a 12-year-old walking past you and the nipple sweat just hits you in the face. Like, that's alarming. I've never felt. I I don't like feeling short because I'm 5'10". I feel like I'm a decent height. But when you got like 6'6", 6'8" kids, be like, hey, and their voices are still high, it's alarming and it makes me feel bad as a human being. But I'll get over it eventually. Um, but yeah, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. All those game highlights are coming out later this week. And trust me, it's some good stuff for these 12 to 14-year-olds. And I'll get back on the high school basketball grind as summer league stuff comes through. And thank you for listening to the Traveling Hoopers. We appreciate you. All right.